Happy 2026 ESO Nation. If you haven't already heard, we're getting a bunch of pretty sweet updates in Update 49, aka Season 0, that revolve around the player experience. And they're all pretty fucking neat if you ask me. I mean, we're getting more housing slots, account-wide outfit slots, faster mount upgrades, and my personal favorite, more ERP, among other things. Thank you, ZeniMax. Very cool. In this video, I'm going to showcase and yap about all of these new features and updates given all the info that's been disclosed on stream, on the PTS patch notes, and in-game. Feel free to use the timestamps to navigate to the topics that you're most interested in learning about. Or you can watch the entire video from start to finish if you'd really like to make my day because I worked hard on this video. On January 12th, a couple of ESO devs hosted a chill at-home stream that served as a follow-up to the big 2026 content reveal stream that happened a week prior. The objective of this stream was to delve a little deeper into the player experience improvements that ESO enjoyers can expect in Update 49. Kira Ross-Schlitt, the lead of this player experience improvement initiative, shared that the main objective for this first set of QOL updates was to quote-unquote reduce friction and any sorts of feels bads, especially when it comes to things around monetization and the player's time. The devs aim to accommodate a pretty vast array of player types for this first round of improvements to ensure that everyone could find themselves really vibing with at least one of the upcoming updates. From new players to hardcore vets, PvPers, PvEers, and even ERPers. Okay, she didn't say that last one, but come on, look me dead in my eyes and tell me that this is not an ERP improvement. That's right, you can't. All of the stable masters across Tamriel have been selling the same shitty-ass mounts for over a decade. Sorry to all of the default mount enjoyers in the audience that I just offended. However, that is about to change. More mounts are going to be added to the stable master's inventory that can be purchased by players for gold. The devs aim to make all of the different kinds of mounts, like foxes, lions, guars, etc., more accessible to players, while also taking this opportunity to make the world of Tamriel feel richer. They accomplish this by allocating 16 different purchasable mount types across Tamriel's many biomes. These 16 mounts had either been previously sold in the Crown Store or given away through limited time offers. There is also a brand new mount that they added to the game specifically for this initiative. I remember 8 years ago, one of the first Crown Store purchases that I ever made as a brand spankin' new player was a wolf mount, because I didn't want to ride that default horse around, but as a broke-ass college kid, I also didn't have the money to gamba with crown crates and hope that RNGesus would grant me a really nice mount that way. So this plain little wolf mount would have to do. The fact that players can get cute little mounts now for gold, something I would have loved way back when, makes me really happy to hear. I know I would have appreciated being able to save that cash back then. I don't know about you guys, but for me, one of the things that will make me audibly groan whenever I create or log on to a new character is just how fucking slow their mount is. Like, look at this shit. Actually unplayable. For the longest time, in order to upgrade our mounts for them to ride faster, to have more endurance, and to increase our carry capacity, we could pay a couple of coins to a stable master to make a singular upgrade once per day. Or you could grab mom's credit card and buy a bunch of riding lesson upgrades to use right away from the Crown Store. But starting in Update 49, we will now be able to upgrade our mounts a total of 3 times per day. Account-wide mount training is something that the player base has been asking for as well. Kira confirmed that the player experience team is aware of it, and they've been deliberating on how to implement such an update, if at all. No promises. But they weren't able to get to that for this first round of player experience improvements.
Ooh, Carrie, can we see some super sexy quest givers? Thank you.
Another concern that the devs hear a lot from the community is that the process of becoming a werewolf or a vampire in ESO isn't really all that smooth. I can attest to that. I remember trying to get bitten by a bunch of blood fiends back in the day, hoping I'd get lucky and get infected so I could turn my main into a vampire so that I could be a little bow ganking shitter in Cyrodiil. Unfortunately, I had no luck using that strategy, but fortunately, a kind member of one of my guilds offered up a vampire bite, and I accepted it. That's kind of been the go-to strategy for turning your character into a vampire or a furry to unlock their respective passives and skill lines these days. But it requires you to reach out to players in your guilds or in zone chat to ask for a bite, and that's not exactly ideal. Socializing in a massively multiplayer online game? That's crazy. I thought I was freaking playing Skyrim, what the f— In all seriousness, turning back into a regular mortal character wasn't exactly clearly laid out either, and the fact that werewolf and vampire bites and cures were offered in the Crown Store for real-life money when the in-game transformation and removal processes weren't clearly defined it was a pretty shitty look. So the devs overhauled this werewolf and vampire transformation and curing process. In Update 49, there are going to be new icons that we can see on the map for discoverable shrines in Auradon, Glenumbra, and Stonefalls. There will be quest givers at those shrines that can get you started on your journey to live your best Twilight life. If you have a character that has already completed the vampire or werewolf starter quest, and then you cure yourself of the disease, and then at some point decide that you'd like to go back to being a silly little creature, then these quest givers will instantly grant you back your vampirism or werewolfism if you go and have a chat with them. If your character hasn't become a werewolf or vampire yet, then you can even access the free quest starters through the Crown Store. Do keep in mind that you cannot be both a werewolf and a vampire at the same time. The werewolf and vampire bites have been removed from the Crown Store, and the cures are still up on the Crown Store for convenience, and they'll cost $0. That's right, they are free. Player bites will still be available, and you can be bitten by other players at these new shrine areas too. Like the werewolf and vampire bites, mimic stones and outfit tokens are also going to be removed from the Crown Store because the functionality that these items provide can be sourced rather easily from playing the game. I'm really glad to see that the devs are getting rid of these items that have been up on the Crown Store for a frankly ridiculous sum of crowns, considering it costs next to nothing to be able to change your outfit or use a style material in-game. The devs also aim to improve the sourcing of both mimic stones and outfit tokens through things like Golden Pursuits and Tamriel Tomes, and selling them in the new in-game storefront, the Gold Coast Bazaar. The cost for bag and bank space upgrades is going to be reduced by nearly 50%. You can also now upgrade your bag directly from your inventory to alleviate some of the confusion that comes with the new player experience. No one likes playing inventory simulator, so the fact that these bank and inventory upgrades are much more accessible in the sense that they cost less gold and are easier to acquire is an excellent improvement. Items will now be able to be listed on guild traders for 30 days again, just like in the good old days. Kira shared that while reducing the trader listing window to 14 days in the past did provide some gains as far as performance goes, those gains weren't worth the overwhelmingly negative sentiment from the player base. So they've gone ahead and reverted this change. Thank goodness. The devs have added the functionality to now hide our character's chest, waist, legs, hands, and feet. Man, put those dogs away, bro. Previously, hiding our character's shoulder armor was locked behind the Impresario event merchant, but that won't be the case anymore. All of these hide armor features will now be accessible to all players anytime they change up their look at the clothing station. Kira also acknowledged that a lot of players have been asking for a means to hide those tassets and loincloth components on a lot of chest pieces. She shared that these concerns are something that her team can look into resolving, but she can't necessarily guarantee this at this time because it wouldn't be a very straightforward fix. The devs want to make it easier for players to mess around with their builds. They figured that giving players the option to just respec whenever and wherever they want was more in line with other modern games that have similar systems. Going forward, players will be able to open up their character menu and make adjustments to their 3 main resources for free. Once we are satisfied with our adjustments, we can simply confirm them and then wait for a small cooldown to be applied. This is to limit server strain. And then bada bing bada boom, we are now respec'd without the hassle of having to go to a respec shrine. There's currently no plan to apply limitations to this new feature, but Kira states that the devs reserve the right to change their mind about this at any time. She assured us that the devs don't want this new feature to be used as a tool by the community to impose restrictions and requirements when doing something like raiding, for example. So if they see that there is a lot of that going on where players are being excluded from trial groups because they're expected to be respecing in between encounters and they can't keep up with all that or what have you, then the devs may make some adjustments. As for respec scrolls, existing ones will be made sellable for gold to vendors. The devs have also proactively stopped selling them from the Crown Store now on the live server since they're going to be useless starting in Update 49. Previously, the zone guide had to be done in order, which wasn't super ideal. Now you can easily click and track zone objectives to highlight locations on the map in accordance with your playstyle. Sorry, I don't have something very witty to say about this one. I've literally never fucking used the zone guide in my life. The devs sought to remove some of the FOMO that players can get while online by increasing the amount of time they have to complete their Antiquity leads, depending on the rarity of the lead. For example, ultimate quality Antiquities will now expire after 180 days, up from 30. If you have ESO Plus, those timers also get doubled. And the doubling of Antiquity timers for ESO Plus members was also a new benefit that was added. The devs have also tripled the Transmute crystal cap, so if you're a non-ESO Plus subscriber, then and the 500 cap will be raised to 1,500, and the ESO Plus enjoyers will have their previous 1,000 crystal cap increased to 3,000. Hell yeah. There's a limit to the amount of furnishings that you can place in ESO's various player homes. Those limits exist because there's a point where if there are too many furnishings in a house, you can crash due to a memory issue, and then your character would get stuck in that instance, which would just be a pain to resolve. However, the developers have finally found a means to raise that limit without causing this issue. While there are still some technical limitations around being able to increase the furnishing limit for notable homes, the devs have been able to recategorize the homes in such a way that their furnishing slot limits have been increased. ESO Plus members will continue to have double furnishing slots for all home size categories. The furnishing slot cap was raised on over 50% of the houses that you can get in the game, with staple homes now having a cap of 75 traditional furnishings, and classical homes are at 250 traditional furnishings without a plus sub. Do keep in mind, again, those numbers are doubled if you subscribe to ESO Plus. Finally, stackable treasure maps. Hey yo, somebody get Benevolent Bowed on the line. He's gonna want to hear this. Is that how you say it? Benevolent Bowed? Benevolent Bowed? Perhaps. Now, whenever you find a treasure map, you will receive an unopened map item. When you use this item, you generate an actual map into your inventory. This way, maps can stack up to 200 in your inventory, so they take up less space. There are some additional gameplay changes that have been made to accommodate this new system, and those will be displayed on the screen right now. Any fashion mains in the chat? Of course there are. You're all Artea subscribers, and if you're not, you should be. Anyways, hi, I have some really good news for you guys. Going forward, outfit slots are now account-wide, while appearance is still character-specific, of course. As far as previously purchased outfit slots go, the developers decided to make them additive up to 10. So because they were character-based previously, it would have been possible for you to have bought a couple outfit slots on character A, some more on character B, etc. But now, they're combining all existing outfit slots together across all your characters up to a total of 10. This means you can save a bunch of IRL cash money. I bought all of the outfit slots on my main, for example, and then I had to do the same for my other character that I play a whole bunch, which cost my broke ass a lot of cash just to look fly as fuck when I'm getting mowed down by EP and Cyrodiil. But now, going forward, players won't have to do this, which I think is pretty neat. It will now be possible to show off your guild's name without having to wear their respective guild tabard. As you can see, there have been a few changes made to the character screen for update 49, including the addition of the guild nameplate dropdown. Just navigate the dropdown menu and select the name of the guild that you'd like to represent. If you do put on a guild tabard, that will override whatever choice you made on the character screen. Do recall that nameplate visibility is controlled in the settings menu, so if you can't see your own nameplate or other people's nameplates and you want to, you'll have to check your settings. This was one of the most requested asks from the Guild Summit last year. For those unfamiliar with the term, the devs hosted a meeting with a bunch, I'm talking like hundreds, of ESO guild masters and guild staff who applied to attend. At this meeting, players shared their grievances and pain points concerning their experiences running guilds in ESO directly to the developers, so that they could get a better idea of the kinds of things that should be added to the game to improve the guild experience. The devs shared on stream that they have other ideas that they're currently working on that also came from that guild summit, such as guild housing and guild bank improvements to prevent thefts. As a guild master myself, and as someone who has really enjoyed my time in ESO because of the guilds that I've been a part of, it makes me really happy to hear that guilds will be gaining more features and functionality in future updates. In the past, only the skills that were currently active on your bar would gain experience when completing activities that rewarded experience, such as killing mobs or turning in quests. This created an unnecessary mental load on players, as we'd have to be mindful of what bar we were on when doing things like turning in quests to level up the skills that we wanted. Fortunately, the developers have changed this such that we can now earn experience on our backbar from all sources equally, so we won't have to worry about being on the right bar going forward. And those are all the player experience updates coming to us live in update 49. What do we think, chat? Are you guys vibing with all this new stuff? I will say, I'm a huge fan of these kinds of chill, more low-key streams that the devs host where they share some insights about the development of the game. They don't host these kinds of things often, and I wish that they did. It's always really cool to see them explain what's going on at ZeniMax HQ and why and how they go about implementing these new changes. And it's also cool to listen to them respond to questions in the chat. You guys should help me peer pressure them into hosting more of these streams in the future. Of all the new changes, I'd say I'm most excited for the increased furnishing limit for certain homes. The increased transmute cap is pretty huge for PvP enjoyers. And I'm also hoping that the choice to revert the trader listing window back to 30 days helps out the economy even a little bit, because it has not been doing too hot on PCNA anyways. I'm not big into trading at all these days anymore because of how unrewarding it's felt, so I basically only log in to play my PvP healer, so hopefully they don't fuck with PvP healing too much, otherwise I might quit and become a Marvel Rivals main. Just kidding. Unless. But that's all for this video. Thanks for sticking around till the end. Shout out to my YouTube members for their additional support, and I'll see you all in the next video. Cheers.